If you don't have priorities, you're going to be manipulated by flashy things, shiny objects, things of the world, things that other people want you to believe will be important will become important to you because you haven't established priorities. You'll also find yourself becoming addicted to cheap dopamine. This could look like TV, internet, porn, validation, acceptance, you name it. Video games, because you'd lack priorities. See, if you have a strong structure of what is important to you, you're harder to be manipulated. And you know, this is happening on a grand scale from a government world standpoint. People are being manipulated, but it's also happening on like smaller scales, which I think everything always runs down, like it all runs downhill, right? And what it actually looks like is like, well, you're also being manipulated to buy this thing. You're also being manipulated to think you got to keep up with the Joneses to buy that car because they have chosen that as a metric of success. That neighborhood says, well, if you got this car, you're of this status, and if you have this house, you're of this status. And what starts to happen is that becomes their hierarchy of priorities, and since you don't have strong ones, you just adopt theirs. Can't you see? Can't you see? It's really important for you, my friend, as the individual, to establish your hierarchy of priorities. What is the number one most important thing to you, the number two most important thing to you, the number three most important thing to you, and you stay locked in on those three things. The three most important things for me is my relationships, and I put my relationship with the Lord up in there as well, my family, and then a couple people in particular within those relationships. And the second one is my personal health and growth. I put that right up there, and that's a top priority to me. And the third one is my career. Notice career is my third one. So I work down the list. I work down the list of relationships, and then personal health and growth, and then career. All of them can fit. They can all fit. But with that, like it's not new car I drive. It's not bigger house. Like I'm really locked in on, well, what does it look like for me to improve my relationships? Well, I need to have more time with them. Well, that's contradicting to growing my career. Look at that. But since relationships is a top priority for me, and it's at number one, it's at the highest of the high in my hierarchy of priorities. Well, since that's number one, I won't become distracted by things that are going to make me work harder in my career to pay for the things that aren't really at the hierarchy of my priority list. I want to do good, I want to serve well, I want to make good money, but I don't want to be a slave to it because that means I'm going to lack time, energy, attention to my top priority, which is my relationships. Too much of one thing is a lack of something else. See, my personal health and growth is really, really important to me. It's number two on my list. It really competes with number one. Like taking care of myself is extremely important for me so I can be the best in my relationships. So I call it like a 1A and 1B. It's kind of like the same thing for me. And see, I know that if I'm working too much, my body will be reflectant of that. Yeah, I'm going to be in more constant states of stress. I'm not going to be able to do my breath work as much, my saunas, my ice baths, my working out. No. I can't be doing all that work then. I can't be working at 60, 80 hours a week just to buy that new house because it's going to take from my personal health and growth. And that's a top priority for me. See, y'all got to pay attention to your priorities. See, often you might say that your career is not that big of a priority. You just need to make enough money to take care of your family and XYZ. And I think that's awesome. But then you have to start actually looking at your actions. But if you keep buying that car, you keep buying that house, you keep trying to keep up with the Joneses, you keep on trying to go to Disney World, and you're spending all this extra money, well, now your career through your actions is actually your top priority because of the shit that you're buying. Yeah, you're being distracted, you're being manipulated. It just happens by accident. It happens by accident because we're not truly focused. We don't have a strong set of awareness of what our priorities are. Your priorities, and this is by my definition, I don't know what the actual definition is. This is called my definition, is what I do most of. It's not like what I think is most important. No, it's what I do most of. That is actually my priorities. Because I can say my family is my top priority. I can say my personal is my top priority. But if I'm not doing more of that, it's not true. Priorities are made true when you're doing more of the things that you believe are important. It's in action. It's in the doing. So don't say that you have priorities, but you exist differently, because then it's just another way that you're lying to yourself. You're being deceived. And I truly believe that this is how the enemy of the world, because we are in spiritual warfare all the time, every day, every minute. I believe we're in some state of spiritual warfare. And this is how the enemy of the world works. He gets you believing that your family's most important, but your actions look a whole lot like your career is most important, because you got to take care of these different things that you keep buying, so you keep earning the money for it, whatever it looks like. You might say that your family's most important, but you spend all your time on social media when they're around, and your energy's always divided. And you got to know that more that has your attention, the less your attention matters. So you might say that you're present with your family, but your attention doesn't matter because it's divided. So we got to ensure that we are living true to what we say our priorities are. We got to put action behind our priorities. If not, they're not really priorities. They're just words, and they're pretty useless. It's pretty superficial. So set your metrics of success. Set your metrics of success. You got to say, this is important to me, and this is what my day looks like. Today's Monday. I'm talking on Monday. And this is what my Monday looks like, because it's in line with my priorities. This is what my Tuesday looks like. It's not out here. It's not in the future. I ain't trying to be anything. I done become it. I've become an individual that operates in a state of my priorities, because my Monday looks like this. My Monday looks like a person. Like, you wouldn't have to ask me my priorities. If you followed me around all day and just observed me, and I didn't talk and you didn't talk, you would know what I prioritize by my actions. That's the type of individual that I want to be. That's what I strive to live for. My priorities. To not have to say I do these things, but to prove it through actions in the ways in which I live. So I want to encourage you guys to set priorities when you're in a non-emotional state. Set priorities when you're not being influenced by social media and influential people that you deem influential in your life, or society does. Like, set priorities when you're in the stillness of your space, when you haven't been online for a few days or watching TV for a few days. Just set your priorities then. I feel it. I feel it in my body of like, oh, this is good. Like, it's not always excitement. Like hanging with my baby at 8 o'clock at night doing bath time is not always exciting, but I feel joy. So I try to differentiate between the two of those. Like, I might get real excited, when I get a good sale, or when I help someone have a massive breakthrough in their life on a retreat. Like, I get real excited about that, and sometimes it feels more exciting than changing diapers. But I try to pay attention to that, just that pure joy, not just the dopamine hits, but just joy. It's a different feeling. It's something different in the chest, and I try to differentiate the difference between the two. Not that one's worse or better than the other. It's just, it helps me align with my priorities a bit more. Because what can end up happening is, since I get so much excitement, especially with the work that I do and serving others, I get so much excitement when I have a guy have a breakthrough, and it's so awesome for me, and I can get addicted to that feeling of just always wanting to be available for them and always working to help them get to that breakthrough, so much so that I neglect what is in front of me, what's really, really important, which is my family or even myself. So I'm paying attention to these things, and I'm working, and I'm existing in a sense of, these are my priorities. So therefore, my actions must lead. It must go first to prove myself, you, God, whatever, like however you want to look at it. Like, it's just to prove it, to prove that these are my priorities. I prove it through action. It's like lining up and never going for a run before then you try to run a marathon. It's going to be really hard to prove it, that you can run it, if you've never practiced it. So you got to be in practice. You got to be in process of living true to these priorities. So create the list, create the focus of your priorities in a non-emotional state, and then begin to live true to them. Live your priorities out on your mundane Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and you're going to feel anxious whenever you are not in line with your priorities. Your body, your mind, your spirit is going to be telling you you're going the wrong way. Turn around, re-lock back in. So, big encouraging message for you guys to lean into your priorities, to do the hard things, to do the mundane, and to be someone of action, not just words. With love, peace.